Dia is a cross-chain oracle, and maybe basically, yeah. Let me kick things off with a high-level introduction as to Dia. Dia is a cross-chain oracle, right? So anybody who wants a quick update or digest on really what the oracle use case is in crypto, happy to give that for a quick run through just to refresh you guys. So the oracle is basically this component that delivers external information to blockchains and decentralized applications, right? So blockchains themselves and dApps are inherently limited in their ability to access external information, right? So the first original use case for the Oracle was to bring real world data, like whether, it's like the price of an equity or a stock or like the weather in Japan or something like that, any bit of real world data and to bring that information on chain, right? And now as the landscape has evolved, we have this, an ever increasing need for communication and the stream of data across different chains, right? So there's the asset price of XFI on CrossFi chain, and a dApp on Arbitrum might want to use that, right? And so Dia's heavily focused on the on-chain component of the Oracle use case, right? Which is really pricing crypto asset price feeds across all different ecosystems. And we are looking to expand and support as many chains as possible. And we're really excited that CrossFi is, one of our latest partners and to support CrossFi and going to mainnet here. And just some scope here. So Dia is live on 51 chains currently. We've been building since 2018. And I'll dive into it right now as to kind of how Dia compares and contrasts to other oracles. So if you take, for example, really the way that Dia is different is the way that we source our data, right? And the differentiation in the way that we approach sourcing is actually what impacts the way that our product is different. So if you take, for example, the traditional Oracle architecture as oracles like Chainlink, Pyth, Band, Supra, right? Most of the oracles in this space source their data from off-chain third-party data providers. These are basically centralized entities, right? These are off-chain companies like CoinGecko, Kaiko, sometimes it's hedge funds. Basically, they're off-chain entities which collect data for assets and they aggregate them off-chain and then they submit them to the nodes of a given oracle, right? They submit them to, let's say, the Chainlink nodes, for example. The Chainlink nodes will reach consensus of all of these different data points and deliver the information on chain. So a very, very high level look at, kind of the traditional Oracle sourcing architecture. And we've seen over the years that this architecture has proven that it can be robust and definitely can be well decentralized. But the particular caveat here is that by the time those data feeds are actually delivered on chain, right, delivered to CrossFi, for example, and you guys, which are either the developers or the end users, access those data feeds, there's no transparency in that model about where the data is originating on the source level. And so what I mean by that is that specifically, when you guys are using those data feeds, you don't know that data is coming from, let's say, Binance, Kraken, Uniswap, SushiSwap, Camelot, Curve, right? Et cetera, et cetera. There's no end-to-end source transparency. And so at Dia, the way we solve for this, and we were actually founded out of a solution towards this caveat, is we solve for this by sourcing our data directly from these first-party exchanges. So rather than using these third-party data providers, Dia goes directly to the first-party centralized and decentralized exchanges. And currently we have over 90 different DEXs and SEXs as first-party data sources. And so that's the high-level architectural difference here. Let me take you to the next slide, right? Because I probably should have had this up. So you can see here we've got centralized exchanges, DEXs, and then this includes other types of on-chain marketplaces like NFT marketplaces and so on and so forth. Dia takes in the data, aggregates, process, cleans, basically excludes outliers, and applies like price methodologies, and then distributes it across chains like CrossFi and so on and so forth. And so really, as I mentioned here, like this is the core differentiation in our architecture. We're sourcing data directly from the source. And on the product side, how this differentiates our product is that, as I already referenced, it enables complete transparency. So Dia is an open source Oracle where the flow of data is transparent throughout the entire value stack. So you know from where data is coming on the source level all the way until the delivery, how data is flowing throughout the DIA system. And we actually enable teams and our partners to customize these sources. I won't get into too deep into the specifics here, but just to give you guys some scope here, like customizing sources can be relevant in specific contexts. Most of our partners defer to or default to all sources because obviously, the more volume and liquidity you can capture for an asset and generating a price feed, the more robust it will be. But sometimes we work with teams that want to select specific sources, right? Let's say they want to select a specific DEX on Polygon to get the price of a stablecoin, like let's say USDE. Well, the reason this might be relevant is because USDE, let's say, is on Polygon, ZK Sync, and Avalanche, right? If this were to depeg on Avalanche, but not on Polygon, you wouldn't want the Oracle price feed to be the only external vulnerability in kind of delivering a compromised price feed, right? And saying, okay, well, this asset's depegged across all ecosystems, so we'll report a depegged price on Polygon and then impact and bring down every other ecosystem with it. So in some specific contexts, teams like to isolate given markets on a specific chain to generate a price feed. But that's kind of nitty gritty and happy to answer any questions about that at the end, but I'll keep running through at a high level. So the next thing, and then these are the two most important things I think for you guys to know. So the next thing is customization. So we focus greatly on being customizable. This is the case, and we're able to do this because, as I mentioned, we're sourcing data directly from these exchanges, right? We are ingesting trade data on the individual tick level. So every single trade for an asset that's happening across all of these exchanges, we can theoretically subscribe to. And this trade data is very granular, right? It's every single tick. And the granularity of that gives us flexibility to deploy custom price feeds. And this is important because, different types of DeFi applications require different Oracle price feeds. If you're building a perp DEX, a perpetual DEX, right, where people are entering and exiting positions very quickly, you need a very high frequency price feed. You need an Oracle that's going to update, every couple seconds at least. And so customizing the Oracle to produce high frequency outputs is of course like an option that would cater to that type of dApp. On the other hand, let's say you're building a lending borrowing protocol, which oftentimes lending borrowing protocols like to work with like long tail assets, right? Assets that have less liquidity and less volume. And so it can actually improve and impact the Oracle to actually expand the time in between each updates. So rather actually slow down the updates so we can capture more volume and more trades for a given asset in between each Oracle update, and therefore make the Oracle price feed more robust. So just kind of getting towards here how customization allows us to not only cater to different dApp needs, but also cater to the security of different oracles, of given assets, given their liquidity and volume. And just a note here is that we'll dive into the docs on CrossFi chain, but we deployed these common good oracles on CrossFi chain that any of you guys can access permissionlessly and kind of like, of course, free of charge and integrate them immediately. But if you have a need for your dApp that expands outside of the scope of what's being provided as a common good asset, you can come to us and request a custom feed, and we will support you in that and deploy that for you at no cost. The only expense of that Oracle is that there's gas costs, of course, when an Oracle price feed is updated, there's a transaction that incurs a gas fee. And so we just ask for teams that request custom dApps to cover the gas fees. Otherwise, of course, operational expenses on our end would spike. But we are really happy to cater to all of your unique needs. And if you guys have any needs that expand outside of the, common good assets in the documentation, you can ping me on Telegram or reach out to us on Discord. I'm like a 24/7 Telegram guy, so you can always get me there. Okay, so that's customization. And then the last thing, and I think really the core most important aspect of DIA that I like everybody to know is that DIA supports more assets than other oracles, and arguably more assets than any other oracle. The reason this is the case is because, as you guys know, most assets in today's industry are trading on DEXs, right? Whether it's like liquid stake tokens, liquid restake tokens, stable coins, meme coins, oftentimes I'd say about like 90% of these assets are trading on DEXs way before they ever get centralized exchange support, if they ever do. And so, as I mentioned, at Dia, we scrape trade data directly from these DEXs, right? So this allows us to have a much more comprehensive overview of these assets trading on these DEXs and to have a much more comprehensive, be more broad in our support of these assets. So on CrossFi chain is actually part of our partnership that we're going to integrate eventually 3 of the DEXs on CrossFi. And so really what this enables for you guys, and where Dia gets exciting, and this is like the most important part for me in terms of what we're doing, is you guys eventually, if you're building dApps, you might launch a token, right? And of course, as I just referenced, like that token, you'll probably provide liquidity on one of top CrossFi's DEXs, maybe 1, 2, or 3 of them, right? And what Dia is offering is the ability to scrape those DEXs and provide price feeds for your tokens, for your assets, as soon as they meet given liquidity and volume criteria to create a robust price feed that, of course, can't be easily manipulated. And so whereas most oracles are delivering, like the top common blue chips across all ecosystems, what makes our approach different is we're coming in and actually integrating the DEXs on a given chain in order to support set price feeds for teams that launch tokens in a specific ecosystem. So really helping to build that out. So yeah, I'm not hopping through my deck too smoothly here, but hopefully you guys are keeping pace with me, and let me know if you have any questions. But this is just an example of the Dia app, which I can drop a link to if you guys are interested. It even shows the XFI token, which we're already providing on testnet. And yeah, just kind of like, this is one example of, a chain native asset that we're supporting on CrossFi. And as more of these come to life, we're more than happy to continue supporting them for you guys. This is kind of running through what I've already mentioned, in that, like, different types of dApps rely on oracles. I've went through that. If anybody wants me to hop back into that and explain more specifics about, like, why an oracle is needed in a perp DEX or lending, borrowing, or stables or real world assets, you can always let me know. And happy to do that, but I'll keep hopping through here. As I mentioned, this slide's referencing how oracles on CrossFi, because we're partnered with CrossFi chain, right, in the foundation. So all of you guys building, we are providing you guys with this as common good tooling, right? Public good tooling, where on other ecosystems, oftentimes you have to go in and, like, there's a hurdle to select the oracle, and then you have to pay additional fees to integrate and access that. This is all, free of charge for all of the developers on CrossFi. So we are super happy to work with all of you guys and cater to your needs. So far I've referenced here token price feeds. But I guess 2 other things I should definitely reference here are, of course, we are providing verifiable randomness, right? So for those of you who aren't too familiar with that, what that is that basically blockchains themselves are somewhat inherently deterministic. And what I mean by that is that everything that's going to happen on a blockchain is kind of predictable, right? It's very hard to create any source of random number generation or random output generation on a blockchain, because somebody could look at the fundamental mechanics behind it, or the methodologies, and actually determine ahead of time what the random number would be, right? It wouldn't actually be random. And so blockchains also rely on oracles for a sense of external random number or random output generation. And this is super useful in all types of, like, GameFi applications, right? Let's say, you're playing a game. I was a huge Fortnite guy back in my day, so I always use this as an example. But, you go into a game and you open up a chest, and like, every time you go to that chest in a new round, you'll get new items, right? The chest is giving you a random output. I forgot what people refer that to in, like, the gaming world, but there's some, it's like you're getting a new random output in terms of, like, what you're getting in that chest or whatnot. And so this is sort of like this random output variable that the oracle is adding. And it's applicable, as you would imagine, across all types of gaming applications. And also as it relates to, like, NFT drops, right? Let's say you want to drop an NFT and you want to randomize how many characters in your NFT have red hair or something like that, or an earring, right? These are the what Dia is delivering is this sense of randomness for your application, and quite easy to access. I see there was a comment Fortnite mentioned. Exactly. So yeah, we'll dive into the docs as well as to how to access that. The other thing here is on and off chain data sourcing. So, really one of the things that sticks out about CrossFi chain is like this intersection between not just like DeFi and on chain, but also like, again, the real world. I think CrossFi is doing a really good job in building to become this like this like on-chain bank, right? For all types of assets. And this is going to include and also require the reference to like equities, right? Like real world assets, forex pricing, right? Other fiat currencies. And so he is also supporting these types of asset price feeds, right? Real world asset price feeds onto CrossFi. And I think that like this is the early stage of that, but I'm really excited as CrossFi evolves to kind of navigate this together with the ecosystem. I think that real world assets is still early. Hasn't really been brought to scale yet, but it's a huge unlock for all of us in the crypto space. All of this liquidity can be brought on chain. And so I'm excited to see how we can work with the CrossFi ecosystem to support that need. This is the docs. We'll jump into there in a sec, seeing if there's anything else I missed. Yeah, this is I already referenced the customization that you guys can select. So let me share my screen, pull up the partner workshop page, which I think Haley already referenced. This is the Dia section of CrossFi's docs, right? And so you can see already a very long list of assets that we're supporting on CrossFi chain. There's actually even room to add more to this. So if you guys have a need for more assets, feel free to reach out to us or the CrossFi chain, and we'll work together to see what we can do to support you guys. Excuse me. This also gets into like the methodologies here. And of course, how to access the Oracle. And so it's very straightforward in terms of like accessing the Oracle itself. It's basically, and again, I kind of referenced that I won't get too technical here, but you're integrating it into your smart contract and simply calling a get value function with a pair name. The pair name is basically a symbol as the symbol, right? BTC USD or WBNB USD, Link USD, etc. And exactly, the response will give you two values: the current asset price and a timestamp of the last update. So if you guys have any other questions about this, of course, you can ping us. We're going to support with that. And then this is the information about the randomness oracle and how to access it. So I think I ran through it pretty comprehensively, but maybe I'll stop for a second and ask you guys if there's any questions. Feel free to write them in the right side of the screen as well. But yeah, Shin just shared that there's he shared the link to it, actually, to the Dia section of the CrossFi documentation there in the AMA chat. So yeah, I want to say, like, again, like I'm really excited to kick this off with all of you guys. Really, optimistic about the CrossFi chain ecosystem, and once we go mainnet, seeing what we can all do together. So yeah, thank you guys. Thank you, Haley and Shin, for bringing me on.